said, and David and James, all kind of the opportunity they have in front of them this week with, getting a lot significantly more meaningful reps this week.
Yeah, really excited about the group that's going to go to Cincinnati and play at receiver this week. They have worked so hard and really have done everything we've asked them to do. And, there's no doubt in my mind they're going to go out there and they're going to really try to put all of the preparation that they've done and everything that they've earned over this period of time from their preparation and their hard work, and now be in an opportunity to go play.
James in particular, we know what he can do in the return game. We've seen that. Describe him, if you could, as a receiver, because you probably see him more in that role in practice than even what they see him as a return guy.
Yeah, James O'Shea has been outstanding to work with. He's been such a professional. He really takes a lot of pride in the offense and learning all positions. And he's a player that I consider as a receiver a multiple position learner, where he can go to the field and he can align across the board at these multiple spots, and you feel confident that he's going to know what to do, and he's going to do it at a level that you're going to be pleased with. He has a very good skill set that I think you see as a returner, where he has the ability to produce with the ball in his hands. But the thing that I see on a daily basis from him, or the things that I see in the meeting room and on the practice field, his work ethic is outstanding, very professional, and I think he's got a really good skill set with the ball in his hands.
I know you're focused on the receivers, but you've been around the game a long time, in a while. You've seen a lot of quarterbacks. Is poise with a quarterback something that is kind of innate to the individual, or is this something that it's something that can be developed? I mean, that over time, obviously a 16-year-old pro is going to have a different poise than a rookie, but is it something that can be sort of?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's something that the trait poise is so important to all positions. The quarterback position obviously being one of them, but we evaluate poise in the receiver position as well, and I think it's something that you can develop over time, and you develop with experience and confidence of doing those things on the field. And I think you become a more poised receiver, if, number one, you're prepared, but then you go out there and you do it, and you have confidence that you can do it consistently. But poise is definitely something that we look for in receivers, and when I describe poise in the receiver position, I describe it as somebody that can function maybe in a role during the game that they didn't practice, or they have the ability to adjust and be calm enough to say, okay, I'm now going to go to another spot. If you have an injury or you have to adjust during the game, those receivers that have that trait poise have the ability to really allow your team to function in different roles than they may be practiced or prepared for. And that's one trait that I think that a lot of our guys in that room have right now is poise, because I feel confident if something were to happen in the game and we have to start adjusting, or guys are playing maybe increased roles here moving forward even this week, they have the ability to do that because they have poise.
You do that, I mean, really Thursday night. I mean, Amari goes down, and so that kind of probably pushed everybody kind of up the pecking order, and then Elijah goes out with the concussion, and I mean, is that probably the perfect example?
That is the perfect. I mean, Thursday night versus the Jets, our guys did a outstanding job of being able to adjust when we had unforeseen circumstances. With obviously Amari's injury prior to the game, he couldn't play, and then once Elijah was injured during the game, that's a domino effect, and guys are now in different spots than they prepared for. And our group is outstanding at being able to adjust, but they're outstanding at that because they're prepared and they work very hard. In particular, David Bell just does such a great job for us of being able to play all the spots, both mentally and physically, even help other guys get lined up at times, because he's so intelligent, he works so extremely hard, and that's really, we take a lot of pride in that. I know David does, but having a guy like David Bell on this roster is very beneficial to us in regards to he can play all the spots, He can adjust when he needs to be, and he does it with, like as you said, that word poise is so important to being able to get that done.
Apologies if you've been asked about Sed, but what has just stood out this season as we look at his body of work as a whole, and then just how has he grown as a player?
Yeah, Cedric Tillman, it's been a very positive year for him, and I think it's been positive because he has truly improved and grown every day. He takes the coaching, he works extremely hard, but to see where he started off when we were at the Greenbrier to now, I mean, we take a lot of pride in his development, but that development only happens because Cedric works hard, takes the coaching, and continues to improve. It's been really nice to see him on the field, to make plays. You know, he's got such great value in both the run game and the pass game. He takes a lot of pride in both, so that's been very nice to see. But I've continued to be impressed with Ced, just the way he goes about his business and works. And I think it's important for all rookie players to understand what it is to be a professional, and it takes time. You know, there's learning involved. It's not done overnight. The development is always going on with these guys that are young players, and certainly Ced's taken advantage of all the resources within this building, and he's taken advantage of the coaching, the veteran leadership to put himself in position to be successful on the field.
Does he ask a lot of questions with some of the older guys, and I guess Amari, because I know they're a quieter group as a whole.
Yeah,
so.
Obviously very quiet group. We all know how quiet they are by personality, but they do really lean on each other, especially the young players lean on some of the veterans in our room. I would say not only the receiver room, but offensively there's some players in there that, you know, can kind of lead them down the path of what to do as far as not only schematically, but the way they go about their business. So Ced's been great of, you know, asking questions, and he understands how valuable it is to get the information from the veterans. Not only the coaches, but the veterans on this team have been very beneficial to Ced's development.
Hey, Chad, I know we've talked a lot about injuries in general this year, but kind of looking back on it a little bit, why do you think you guys have been able to overcome, not just in the receiving room, but overall, everything that's happened?
I mean, it's probably been the thing we're most proud of. I think the players would say the same, of how we've dealt with some adversity, specifically the injuries. And I believe that happens, and we've been able to have success because guys are prepared for that moment. You know, you take the receivers, for example, when we have had some injuries, whether it's been during the course of a game or it's happened during the week, those guys have done a tremendous job of being able to adjust, but they do that because they work so hard and come to work every day with the intent of, what is best for the team, and we're going to help the team. So I think it goes back to we have a lot of guys on this team, on this offense, on this team that put the team first. And that's one thing that I love about this football team, I love about our receiver group, is we don't have selfish guys. They put the team first. And when you put the team first, guys step up in different roles that they might have not expected to. And I just can't say enough about our players and the job they've done to be able to overcome some adversity, specifically injuries at other positions, and go out there and play quality football.
Is there any comparison between this year and, I know it's a different circumstances, but this year in 2020 in terms of the uncertainty, the weekly uncertainty of whether guys would be available, you know, again, obviously different, but is there some comparison, some similarity?
Yeah, I mean, all years are unique to itself, but I don't think the uncertainty is unique, right? It happens often, and I think that Coach Stefanski has done an outstanding job of really doing a great job with the team of that 1-0 mindset, that 1-0 mentality, regardless of the circumstances, regardless, of some of the uncertainty that we've dealt with throughout the year. He's really done a great job in his leadership, standing in front of the group and saying, hey, let's focus on the present, let's stay 1-0. And I really feel like the guys have really taken that, and they've done a great job with that.
Guys have talked a lot this season about the next man up mentality as you guys have dealt with injuries. Was there a moment where you saw them really just, it changed from just being a mentality to really something they embodied as a group?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a specific moment. I just think it's been the body of work, and it's been a collective, like effort for the guys that, I mean, there's so many examples that you could use at all positions of like, hey, that guy stepped up for us and what a great job he did because he was prepared to do it. And I think that, again, that happens not by accident. It happens because we have a lot of guys on this football team that put the team first. And I know that that's stressed so much from our head coach of the team, and we talk about the team every day. And when guys truly buy into that, you see it on the field, and you see it by their performances of maybe, again, playing different spots and they might have not expected to play, and guys stepping up in roles that they didn't expect to be in, but they've made the most of their opportunities. But I think it starts with that team first mentality that I think our team really has. Good?
I'd like to start with JOK and just how he's really come alive this season, and I think you talked about that like way early on and how you thought that could come together. So just wondering your thoughts on how it happened.
Yeah, proud of Jeremiah, and because it did. It started with the process in the offseason, the two things that I've said, I think, every time I've been up here, which is, getting his body ready for a full season. He did that. And then his approach, play in and play out, that his next play is going to be the best play he's ever had. And he's just got better and better at that. Even through the game on Thursday night, he had some things that he wasn't perfect on early in the game, but as he learned, he was really rolling by the end of that game. That was impressive. So continuing to start games the way he finished the last one is going to be our emphasis going forward. And, man, staying in that process, I'm proud of him.
I would assume you're proud or excited for him to get that alternate recognition. Like, did you think he even deserved, like Joe Batonio said yesterday, he thought JOK should have gotten the full Pro Bowl vote, and he kind of is hurt by, the categories. He's in the same thing as JJ and all those, or TJ. But, like, how do you feel about his recognition for the Pro Bowl?
Anytime you're mentioned with Pro Bowl near your name is outstanding. And that's a tribute to the work that he's put in. It can happen sometimes to defensive players because, like we've talked about, and how we use guys in this system, the safeties, the linebackers, they all do everything, which also helps them be able to do everything and fill up the different categories of stats as not only as an individual but as a team. The tackle for losses, the things like that are because of our, with Coach Schwartz and what we do in the scheme, it's because our players get to do everything, and that's cool. And a lot of times defensive players, they really are positionless. I mean, we're really proud of our guys, how they can play all the different positions, and be good when they're rushing, when they're dropping, whatever they're asked to do, and then work together to do it. So I think, one, like I said, it's an honor to be mentioned with that, and two is some of the defensive positions that they blur anyway.
Jim was mentioning, I think it was last week, the weeks blend together, I'm sure, like they do for you, about making JOK being on the field more, basically making him an every down, talking about him becoming more of an every down linebacker. Can you expound on that? And I imagine it kind of goes back to what you were just talking about.
Yeah, progression of everything. It's progression of learning. There were certain things that Jeremiah, you could see he was getting better and better and better at. And then we were able to do things with him that he had been on maybe a different spot in that same call. And then he was in, like we said, positionless players. Now he's in a different spot. And that happened and is still happening as we go through. So again, that's good learning. And for him being able to know both spots is where he was, and he put in the work to be able to do that. So now we can use him in even more spots.
How about Sione with 16 tackles that game and just being as active as he was and how he's coming on?
Well, there's one thing about short week football. When you get the short week, especially later in the year, that's a challenge. So one of the things, and the first word in our linebacker mantra is run. And so I showed them a few things about Thursday Night Football. And our goal in the linebacker group, and of course with the defense, is to see how many people we can get to the ball. Like, we've heard things that it looks like more than 11. That's awesome. We love those compliments, and we got to keep that going. So Jeremiah and Sione and Tony, when they were on the field, all they were talking about is racing to the football. And they did that on Thursday, and that's exciting. So we need to keep that up and do that even better.
we don't know, obviously, who's going to play and who's not this week, but if a guy like Mahmoud gets an opportunity to play a lot, what has he been like kind of behind the scenes this year and kind of waiting for his opportunity?
I've been the linebacker room, as we call it, is they've been preparing as if they're starters the entire time. So Mahmoud, Matt Adams, Tony Fields has started to play more, and you know, and Jordan. Hopefully he's good as he continues to get forward and keeps going. All those guys have been impressive in how they prepare, and they get asked as many, if not more, questions than the starters in the room. They're in positions and walkthroughs all the time. We roll them in, so whenever these guys get their opportunity, we feel like they're ready. Mahmoud has been good in preparing himself. Every rookie has a little lull as they go through their first year because you were talking about losing weeks. Like it becomes Groundhog Day. And so our job is to make sure the rookies don't live Groundhog Day, like get them ready. So he's been good. He's been a pro. He's prepared his body. His body's gotten stronger. He's got more flexible. So if and when Mahmoud gets an opportunity, we're excited to see him do it.
What does this mean for some of these guys? Like, you don't always get a chance to, like they're going to be playing a regular season game, full speed game. So what does it mean for some of those younger guys that maybe otherwise wouldn't have this chance?
Well, first for a team, it's we earned it. So that's a good thing as a team. If you can earn to be ahead of the chains and have a game like that, it's awesome. And it means everything. It's amazing because playing time in a regular season NFL game is just every play is like a bar of gold. It's just you can't simulate it. And hopefully any of those guys that get to play this weekend, I mean, it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait to watch them. If and when those things happen, it's gonna be exciting for them. But I mean, it is. It's like every play you get, it's like, here we go in a real NFL game. You can't even imagine it. It's awesome.
You touched on Tony a little bit, but what has just impressed you about him this season?
Tony has really become locking in, and Tony really trusts the coaching and the process now. I think that's where he's really grown. He lets things go. He goes to the next, a little like we talked about Jeremiah. He lets things go. He has the process of the next play is going to be his best play, even if he's not quite perfect. He's done a good job even in the middle of games. He'll look over and check with me, and it'll be or like move over, So he just that instant staying in the moment is a good way to say it. Like Phil Jackson with his whistle, right? And we use that. Sometimes we'll put him up there, and he's got his whistle, which means stay in the moment, pay attention. The next play is important. Tony's really improved on that.
How much do you chalk that up to? He was sort of the guy that was kind of thrust into a significantly larger role last year when you guys went through that run of injuries. How much have you seen the payoff from the second half of last season with Tony?
It's just what we were talking about, the bars of gold, every NFL rep in a game. Tony, that experience, and now he had a taste of what he needed to do. So his offseason was better. He got stronger. He got more flexible. He knew, like, now what it feels like. That's why those reps are so valuable, because you're not going to be perfect. But when you get that taste of it and you want more and want to be good like Tony does, that really helped him. 5 guys going on hour. It helped Jordan as well. So of the guys that are in the room. So that playing time experience, that was it. Because it helped him get better every play, but it also helped him know what he needed to do to become a pro and to earn his reps in his playing time.
Why do you think you guys have been handled the loss of AWOC? I know it hasn't been as long as last year, right? He got hurt early last year, but he's missed some time this year, and it feels like you guys have handled it way better. Why do you think that is?
I think it's a bunch of things. Some of that was that experience we just spoke about with Tony. The guys had played more, and then we approached it as we're just linebackers too. So like our positions, we can play. That's a little like we just said with Jeremiah. It's just linebackers. We're just playing. So now it's taught that way, but also the players are more experienced. Sione, everybody else. So we miss AWOC. We love him. But we know that certain things are going to happen in this game as you go through the year. And obviously this team's a great example of resilience at every position of playing. But I think we were more the players and the coaches have more experience with that, and then also being able to apply it within the scheme so they're all more prepared to do everything. So I think it's a combination of those things. But as a process, we just coach them in the room like, hey, if you're at this position, what are you gonna do?
From a defensive standpoint, what makes David Njoku so hard to cover out there? And, are you glad you don't have to cover David every single week? But what makes, and how have you seen him grow over the years?
David, he's a really good example of how a great athlete can now focus play in and play out and make the next play his best play. Because we've seen him this year. He's overcome everything, as we know, on and off the field. He's amazing. But David is, when he is running at you, he's just moving, and he is a big, fast human that is angry. And his angry run shirts could be all the time. So that's what makes him a really good player. And he's improved in everything that he does. He's fun to go against in practice too, because you don't realize how long his arms are until you actually have to guard him and how strong he is.
You're around these guys all the time, obviously. At what point, if there was a blip this season, did you see them take that next man up mentality and really truly embody it versus it just kind of being like a cliche phrase and kind of trying to embody it?
I think it's been started all the way since Greenbrier of how both the teams wired and how we work. There was a special teams period where Mahmoud and Jordan absolutely went at it and then gave each other a hug right after. We're able to compete as hard as we can and then talk about it. I think one thing that we do is where where the team has grown a lot is the football discussions. Like if you're having discussions about, when they're walking around, they're talking about, hey, how are you going to tell me this, or how are you going to do this better? And those discussions, when football discussions get heated, sometimes it's really good. Other discussions, you don't want them to get heated, but football discussions getting heated are really good. I think that started at Greenbrier. It's even continued. And then as guys come in, the way, just right away, when Dew came in at safety, I watched Sione go right away, introduce himself, and say, hey, listen, we're ready to work together. Let's go. That was just amazing to watch. That's who we are right now. And that's amazing because it's the people and the team together doing that. But I think it's going all the way through and just how we're interacting is, the question's great because that's the key to the whole thing. Thank you.